Hey guys, Kevin here to bring you a brand new video where today I am going to be talking about 10 games that I thought had a really good story that aren't retro, because I've already gone over a lot of retro games that I like, and of course, retro games, most of the time it's always the story. I mean, that's the only thing that makes retro games what they are, right, is the story. But I want to talk about 10 modern games that I thought had a great story. Now, some of these games have multiple installments in their franchise, so I want to talk about games with great installments in the franchises themselves. So first, for the first set of games or game that I wanted to talk about is Dead Space. Now, I thought this has to be one of the best horror games of all time, along with another one I'm going to be mentioning a little bit later. But this one, when I got the first one, originally it was like, it was kind of like you just like starting out, and then the second one kind of like brought more, and like it had Isaac talking, it had more to the story, and it made it like really interesting. And I just thought it was really cool what happened with him and Nicole, and just the direction it went and how the new gameplay mechanics were implemented. But honestly, I thought the first one was actually better than the second one. Now that's not to say the second one was amazing. The second one was amazing, but the first one was like just like the classic raw Dead Space that I love so much, and it was just so frightening. And honestly, like Dead Space 1, I actually got all the achievements in that game. Back when, I don't know, achievements I felt like back then meant something to me. They really don't anymore now. I don't know why they ever did, but back then they did. And I actually got all the achievements in that game. So yeah, but it's just a great game series. I feel it's so shitty that I don't know. I feel like they're never gonna do Dead Space 4, probably not. And Dead Space 3, I haven't even finished it yet. I still have to. I still own it, but I haven't. I don't know. I just didn't think it was the same as the first two, and I haven't got the chance to play it just because I'm not like anxious to finish it, just because it's just not the same. Like people said it was good, but I don't know. When I first started playing it, I'm like, man, it's not the same anymore. But the next game on my list, and now these games are not in any particular order. It's just random. I'm not like making a top 10. It's just 10 games in no particular order that I really liked for story. But the next game on my list is Portal. Now this game, its first installment, it was kind of like where it started out. Now a lot of games are like this, where the first game it's kind of just, starting out in its larval stage, I guess you could say it. But Portal, even though Portal 2 was arguably better, which I agree it was, Portal 1 was also a fantastic game where you were literally just a lab rat being taken in by GLaDOS to do all these things, eventually to find out the cake is a lie. I mean, there's no real story to it at all, other than that, like solving all these puzzles. But that was a great start to the series. And then Portal 2 just elevated it with all the gameplay mechanics and all the different types of puzzles you had to solve. There's so much different thinking you had to do, and the story with GLaDOS, how she turns into a potato, and just everything that happens in it with the evil Wheatley guy. Like, it was just so cool. Such a good story and such a good gameplay that got implemented. In Portal 2, honestly, it's just like one of the best games of all time for that story. Now, the next game on my list is the Half-Life series. Now, it's really hard to say which of these games is the best and, which of these games is better than this one, but overall, it's just been a great series. There's so many games. There's Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Half-Life Opposing Force, Half-Life Blue Shift, and Half-Life Source, which is Half-Life 1. But they're all great games, guys. Like, I feel like this series has just gone so far and is just so amazing. And I just love, Gordon Freeman doesn't even talk, but the series is just so great. I can't honestly say what game I think was the best. I don't know. If I had to choose, I might actually say Half-Life 1. So I know that Half-Life isn't exactly a modern game, so I hope you guys don't roast me in the comments for saying it is one of my top games. But, like, honestly, I'm just saying Half-Life is one of my choices as the franchise as a whole. Now, Half-Life has had some good, more modern games than just the first one, which was released a lot earlier in time. But I'm really not basing it on one game in particular. I'm just saying the franchise, which had some good modern games in its series. Just because it was such a like a raw feel of you like not knowing what's going on, when you first screw up in the lab and you just have to like kind of like find your way around and avoid being like captured and fight off all these Vortigaunts that you released from the universe Zen that you're just finding out about. You know, when I first played that first game, it was just incredible. I mean, given it's only on the PC, so a lot of you might not know about it, but I did remember playing the Orange Box first before I played Half-Life 1, which is kind of weird at first because I didn't even know what entirely was going on. But Half-Life 2 was also a cool game because it elevated the series. It took advantage of the nice graphics and brought in a good storyline with the G-Man and Alex and her father. I thought it really molded that storyline really well. And then the gravity gun, of course. There's just so many elements of that game that got implemented that were really good. But, I mean, I gotta admit, it's really hard to beat that classic Half-Life 1. That's all I gotta say about that. But the next game on my list is one that a lot of you might find interesting, is the COD franchise. Now, here's the thing. Back in the day, I know that there were some old COD multiplayers that a lot of people really loved, like COD 4 multiplayer was great, COD 5 multiplayer was great, World at War multiplayer I'm sure was pretty good. I mean, I didn't hear many people talking about it. But anyways, Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer was good, Black Ops multiplayer was good, yes, but I felt like back in the day, COD was actually known for its story. This was the time when COD was actually good for its story. Ever since, I feel like Black Ops 2 especially, I feel like COD's storyline has just gone off hill. I could be wrong with that, but I just feel like, it's these days it's less about the story and more about the multiplayer, which kind of sucks, but that's besides the point. I want to talk about COD games that I feel did its story justice. Now, one of those games is Call of Duty Black Ops. Now, not Black Ops 2 was okay because it carried out that storyline still, and it was okay. But Black Ops, the original series that introduced Mason, you're wondering what all these numbers were, what was going on with Reznov, you learned about his past and everything. It was just so cool, and all, like, the storyline was implemented. It was actually, like, a really cool story once you, like, actually figured it out, what the hell was going on with Mason, why he was trapped in that room for so long. It was just so cool. And then another COD that I gotta note is COD 4. The COD 4 campaign was just the most classic COD campaign that got right down to the nitty gritty. It just has so much nostalgic value to it. Honestly, I almost want to call it a retro game just because it's like so nostalgic for me. And honestly, if they release Modern Warfare standalone, please Treyarch remaster Modern Warfare remastered standalone, please. Don't make me pay $80 for one game and then another game that I don't even want, because I feel like Infinite Warfare is getting too futuristic. But that's besides the point. That game was so great for the campaign, and I would love to be able to play that campaign on Xbox One graphics. Like, that would be so amazing. Just the storyline with Captain Price and like the all gillied up taking the shot on that guy and all the intense fight scenes. And now Modern Warfare 2 brought it in pretty good too, but I don't know. I never like quite got to play that story that well. Like, I played it a little bit for once, and then I couldn't get past this one mission, then I played it again, and I didn't really like remember what exactly happened in the story, so I can't really like pass a judgment on that much. But I don't know. And then the Modern Warfare 3 campaign I thought was okay, but I don't know. I thought it was okay. Okay. Not horrible, but okay. Anyways, moving on to our next game on the list, Rage. Now this game was something else, guys. It was just a completely different game from what you would normally see in an FPS, a driving game, I don't know, a lot of things. It's basically about this game. It's set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where you're trying to save basically what remains of this place, I guess. And it's really cool because like it adds a lot of elements where like you get to do different things. Like one moment you're driving and having to like kill people on the road who are like driving other cars, and you have your own car and you have to kill them. And then it has like mini games where you do that, like races and shit, and just like all these cool things. And then at the same time, it's also a great FPS where we're having to kill off bad guys using all sorts of different weapons, and it's just really cool. I love the atmosphere of that game. You know, it's just such a great game. You know, it's just, I love that game for its uniqueness, just how unique it was. And you really, I mean, I don't know, maybe you could compare it to another game, but I just thought it was so unique with how it was, as opposed to just your average shooter. Just, I don't know, not to diss COD, but it just brought something a lot different to the table for me. Now, the next game on my list is GTA 5. Now, a lot of people these days, you know, they always talk about GTA 5 because of the story. I mean, not because of the story, because of the online. Everybody always like, oh yeah, GTA, that's a great game. I play online all the time, you know, I really enjoy that game. But people forget, GTA 5 actually had a great storyline if you actually played through it. Like, really good, like a lot of missions. Now, given it was long, I think that might be the reason why a lot of people chose not to play it, you know, because some people just got, you know, kind of like tired of playing for so long, because it was supposed to be a 15-hour long story. It was a long story, but in the end, it was also a really great fabricated story of what happened with Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, three protagonists who eventually came together, and just their storylines like all unite in some cool way, and the ending is just crazy, and everything you have to do in that game is just makes it such a great story for that game, along with the online, which also is good. Now, the next game on my list is Outlast, a classic horror game that I can't wait for the new sequel. Now, I haven't gotten to play a good story game in a while, so Outlast 2, I hope you come through here, because, I mean, like, it's been a while since I've had a good story game, but Outlast was a classic game. I've played this game so many times, so I really don't know what to say about it. Well, honestly, it was just so scary initially, and everything it brought with the story, if you look deep enough into it, you can understand it. It was a really cool story with Miles. Now, the ending might have not been all that good, I mean, all that satisfying, but it made it a really cool story, and, you know, it wasn't just like all the others where I don't know, what you want to happen happens. I don't know. It did something different at the end, and I don't know. It was just a really scary game when I first played it, and a game that knows how to scare you like that, but also brings in a good story, is just the definition of what I think a great horror game like that is. So yeah. Well, the next game on my list is called Dying Light. Now, this is one of the more recent story games that I have enjoyed playing. This actually was the first game that I bought for Xbox One, in fact, and I really enjoyed it. And, you know, when I first got my Xbox One, I was so glad to have this as the first game that I ever played. You know, I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I bought an Xbox One. First of all, to play this, along with other games that I eventually got. But Dying Light, Kyle Crane, what a beast. I mean, it was just such an awesome story. I heard so much about this game, and I got it hoping I would not be disappointed, and I was not disappointed at all. Like when they first start training you, when you move up in the world, when you do all these tasks, it's a very open environment, so you really can do whatever you want for like different missions and stuff, and like crafting different weapons. The only problem I had with it was like the building the weapons thing. Like at one point you actually needed a grapple hook to get up this tower, and you had to be like a level 12 to get it, and I had to like level up a bunch. It was kind of a pain in the ass, but besides that, I mean, it had a really great story with Kyle Crane, you know, and I think his name was Rise, and like how he's like the villain with all the zombies. It just had that properly structured storyline, you know, with the zombies in the mix, and then you had Rise, who was like in the middle of it, who you eventually had to like confront. I won't spoil the storyline, but yeah. Just great game all around. Another great game to the list, guys. Now, the next game on my list is Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge. Now, there is a new game that recently came out, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I haven't gotten to play that story a whole lot. I really feel bad that I didn't. I should. But Mirror's Edge, that game, when I when I first saw it came out, I was like, wow, this game is so cool. Like parkour, like who'd have thought this would be in the game? And it was actually really fun, just because of how interesting the story became. With I don't know, with everything happening in that, and just the way you could traverse around the map and the view of it. I don't know. It just brought something new to games, but with the idea of like parkouring and I don't know, doing all these things and the idea of, doing less combat was actually better. The game promoted the idea of, don't feel like you have to kill people or just, you can run instead of just shooting people. And I mean, I can't remember that game's story that well, but that was a great game from what I remember. A lot of interesting things happened in that game that made the story great. I know the story was good. I can't remember what exactly happens, but it was a great game. Take my word for it. But alright, the final game on my list is Need for Speed Carbon. Now, there are a lot of Need for Speed games out, and a lot of them I feel like haven't been that good. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but I just feel like a lot of them weren't that good. And now, Need for Speed Carbon, though, was one of the few that I thought did the series justice. Need for Speed Carbon, when it brought out that open world feel of just being able to do different assignments, different types of challenges, and just being able to drive around, listening to different songs, I just thought that was the environment that I enjoyed. I mean, Forza Horizon did a similar thing. The first Forza Horizon did something like that, and it was really good. Now, that's the type of racing game that I just like, where you can, you're free to explore the environment around you, and you have great customization and great challenges available, and not just a really short storyline. You have to have I like to have a multitude of different things you can do for fun challenges. So I just thought Need for Speed Carbon did that justice, even though it's an older game. Now, a lot of these games, I know they're a little bit older in age, and there's no real new ones that I put on this list. The newest one is probably Dying Light. Yeah, I think it's Dying Light. That came out in 2013. Now here's the thing, I just feel like these days story modes in games just aren't what they used to be. A lot of these games all brought great storylines, but today in 2016, I just feel like campaigns and stories in games just aren't what they used to be. So I hope, along sometime this year or next year, a lot more games surface that have really good storylines. Or maybe I'm just missing out on them. You guys could tell me what you think are some great games that have come out recently with great storylines. But either way, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like if you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.